Okay, I want to do a quick video on this YouTuber I've been watching for a while. I found him pretty interesting. His name is PaxTube, and he makes some interesting content. He seems to be a traditional Catholic or someone who is very sympathetic to traditional Catholic doctrine. I've looked into Catholicism. I'm pretty sympathetic to it. But I want to talk about something else. He is a YouTuber who seems to be extremely obsessed with the past. And if you don't know, I haven't put this into words on my channel yet, but he reminds me of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is someone who's extremely obsessed with Russia's past. Russia, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, they're trying to reinvigorate the country by adopting more Orthodox Christian positions and trying to make Orthodoxy the center of their identity, or the civilizational identity, trying to reassert their civilizational identity. The problem with Orthodox Christians and traditional Catholics is they're obsessed with the past. And the big reason why I believe they're obsessed with the past is because subconsciously they fundamentally recognize that their institutions have no future. Or if they do have a future, they don't know how to construct that future. So they are completely obsessed with the past. Vladimir Putin is always talking about Russian history. PaxTube is always talking about Catholic history and the supposed golden age of Catholic power and stuff. But this comes from a position of weakness. The reason why we talk about the fast and the past and the past glory is because they fundamentally, subconsciously do not believe that there is any future glory for them to have. Something also about PaxTube that's not really found in Russia. The Russian Orthodox, they tried to adopt a race ethnic neutral identity. They tried to incorporate Muslims into their identity because they tried to establish that Russia was a civilization that was traditionally welcome of multiple ethnic groups and religious groups, which is sort of the case. Russia has always had a Muslim minority and a Christian majority. And then Europeans traditionally have had a different interpretation of race. Like Russians and Chechens, they view race differently than white Americans and black Americans. But anyway, back to PaxTube. PaxTube is a traditional Catholic, but he's sort of obsessed, not obsessed, but he is, I guess you could say, race conscious. A big problem I have with this is the majority of the Catholic world is not European. It's non-European. And the Catholic Church has always had a race-neutral application of Catholic doctrine. Really, Catholic countries are not part of Western civilization, quote-unquote Western civilization, if that even exists. They are a part of Latin civilization. The Latin countries, the countries that descend from the power of the Catholic Church, like parts of Germany, Italy, Latin America, those sorts of countries. So if he's going to be race conscious, this is something that I hear people say a lot. He can either be white or he can be Catholic. I think both of these identities are fundamentally in conflict with each other. Either he's white or he's Catholic. Catholics have traditionally not recognized race, especially in the same way that Anglos have. If you look at slavery in the Latin America as opposed to when compared to North America, they have an entirely different conception of race. So I find his Catholic identity is kind of artificial, it's incoherent, and it's kind of confusing. And if he wants to be race conscious, how does he expect the rest of the Catholic world to follow a church that fundamentally rejects them as equals? And doesn't the Bible say that all men are equal before God? If all men were created equal, why does his race-conscious lens deny this truth of Catholic and Christian doctrine?